Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode number 102 today for the Monaco Grand Prix in Season 6. If you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. Obviously, it was uploaded a few days ago, and I just want to address that as well. I've been seeing a lot of comments asking where this series was, asking where the upload was on the very next day, and pretty much all the videos in between the last episode. I'm guessing a lot of those comments were from people that are maybe new around here, don't really know exactly how the F1 game cycle works. Obviously, we're in January, we're about halfway through the F1 game cycle. We have still a fair few months till the brand new game, and this is the point in the year where I start to slow down the uploads a little bit, try and just do other videos basically, but stretching out the season a bit. So probably only expect maybe 2 episodes, or maybe 3 if you're lucky, in a week basically from now on of the My Team Career Mode, and then in between obviously trying out different ideas and just having some other fun on the F1 game and obviously other racing games that involve Formula 1. But in terms of this series, just be patient, guys. But we're trying to stretch out that usual portion. January to Feb is a slow time of the year anyway, let alone for F1 especially, the F1 game on YouTube. So yeah, that's the reason why you're going to be seeing a few less episodes, maybe a week. Patience, my guys, patience. I'm sure a load of people that are maybe just commenting that a lot were maybe just new. Obviously, those of you who've been here for a while, at least 1 year from last year's game, you'll know how things run on this channel, just to make sure that we ought to keep things fresh as well, because I don't want to kind of rinse it out. We're at Season 6, which is actually the furthest into a career mode series I think I've ever got to at this point of the year in January. So we're doing quite well, but obviously still want to try and keep the pace at a reasonable level so that we can still stretch this to the point where, we're getting to around April, isn't it, for the next game, when we start to hear stuff about F1 2021, I'm sure, hopefully around then. But anyway, that's the kind of PSA out of the way for the beginning of this episode. But let's get into it then. Monaco, always going to be very exciting on the F1 game. Very exciting for us because we have 4 chassis upgrades on the way. So that will really solidify our car as being right up there, able to fight. We had a bit of a tougher race last time out, so maybe, these chassis upgrades probably definitely would have helped a lot around Spain. But really as well, if we look at it, it was just a case of obviously the strategies played out so much better for other cars. Leclerc and Gasly on that one stop. We saw Sainz, though, with some insane pace to take the win of this home Grand Prix, so that's fair play. But it means in the championship then, we're still in the lead, but Gasly very much still there in second place, close behind Leclerc and Sainz, the usual suspects in P3 and P4. Although, to be fair, we haven't seen too much from Verstappen. It's actually been quite a poor start to the season, off the back of what was a very strong first race, but then a DNF at his home race, and then a very, very quiet one at Spain. Sees him a little bit down the order, even behind the likes of Giovinazzi and Ocon. Obviously got the first race win for McLaren, and obviously our teammate Lewis Hamilton, he's still way down there with only 7 points. And you can see what I've been saying, we're there in P3 in the championship with him. Even if he scored 10 more points, it would help us a little bit just to try and obviously fight Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, all the rest, all our rivals. So at the moment, still pretty much flying the flag solo base and kind of fighting everyone with one hand but behind my back in terms of as a team, aarava Archer Racing. But as an individual, still going well. We do lead the championship, but it is early days and it's been so tight. And to be fair, performances like last race from Sainz do scare me a bit in terms of, it is very track-to-track dependent, as we've said before, because we're all so pretty much overlapping each other on the R&D chart. The determining factor is what circuit we're going to is going to determine who's strong, so you just can't call it really. Around Monaco, I don't know, I'd like to say we'd go well around here, but we've had a few chaotic ones. I mean, last season, we actually had one of the most craziest fight we've ever had at this Grand Prix, I think, was with Leclerc, I think it was with Leclerc around here last season. So, yeah, looking forward to it, though. But yeah, let's see how qualifying goes. Obviously, one of the most important qualifying sessions of the entire season. So we made it through in Q1, that's all fine. Q2, this is where things could get tasty, maybe not for us, hopefully. I'm hoping that we can just get through and that's all calm, but it may get tasty for other people who are on that close to that drop zone of P10 to P11. But let's see, there was a bit of understeer, I must say, with the car initially in Q1. It got a little bit better in Q2. I'm hoping basically as the track grips up into Q3, that front end will bite in a little bit more, but it's a decent lap time for us, and Hamilton is looking very good. And by by the end of it, actually, maybe I'm being too modest, it was a very good lap, actually, because both of us are 1-2 in this session, and you've got the likes of Bottas, who's knocked out, and his teammate, De Vries, the Dutchman, is up in P4, so he's done a madness, the Dutchman. He's beaten his fellow countryman, Verstappen, in the Mercedes car, and he's like 7/10, I think that is, ahead of Bottas, his teammate, so a massive gap between those two. Ocon, unfortunately, gets knocked out, as the McLaren's looking quite poor, actually, in this session. Leclerc qualifies on the medium tyre, which is a little bit odd, because I don't know if there's that much advantage to be had with doing that around Monaco with the tyre levels, but let's see how he goes into the race, but that may give him a bit of an edge, perhaps later on into the session. But let's go into Q3 now, the top 10 shootout. You can see it's a little bit overcast, because I didn't see this on the indicator, but there is some rain on the way, so I was quite lucky that I went straight out for my lap, basically, because it looks like there is going to be some rain, so this potentially may be our one and only flyer. Everyone may only get one fully dry lap, and the second lap may be with a few spits of rain in the air and on the track surface. So let's see how we do then. At the moment, P9 across the line, up into P3, and Hamilton, right now as it stands, is ahead of us. Leclerc is on provisional pole in his home Grand Prix. Giovinazzi comes in, so the Ferrari's looking very strong. It's a checkerboard of Ferrari and Archer Racing, and as I said, we go out for the second run, and it's raining, and it's actually raining quite a bit, so it's actually so damp that if I tried to go for another lap, you can see I already had to kind of be very easy on throttle as we enter that lap, and into turn one, I could tell, yeah, the braking's not there, the tyre grip's not there, and that's it. So everyone got one lap in, and that was it. So people made mistakes, they made mistakes, and that's how it's going to be. So for the first time now this season, as the first time as a partnership, Lewis Hamilton has out-qualified me. So I was just talking about maybe having to fight one hand behind my back. Okay, Monaco, one of the toughest places, driver-orientated track, and Hamilton has beaten us, and he's up in on the front row of the grid alongside Leclerc. So I don't want to jinx it, but this is quite promising. This is very, very promising. So let's hope that Hamilton can carry forward this momentum into the race. It was a very topsy-turvy session. Like I said, one lap, that was it. So if you made a mistake, then you're going to get buggered. And there you can see Verstappen down in P10. He made a massive mistake. There's some very slow lap times anyway, for not just him, but also De Vries, Ricciardo, even Lando Norris a little bit off the pace than what I thought he would be. And last race's race winner down in P6 behind Pierre Gasly. So a bit of a mixed-up order behind us, but I think I was always going to think that Ferrari were going to be good around here, because I think historically, last few seasons on this game at least, maybe not, obviously we're not talking about real life, but in the game, they've been very strong around Monaco, so not too surprised, but they're yet to win a race, obviously, so could they maybe convert this pole into the win? Obviously, it's very easy to do that around Monaco, but you never know. Let's go to the grid and see what comes of Sunday.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino, first opened in 1863. And, of course, a certain road race, first held here in 1929. There's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. We're on the French Riviera once more this weekend at the 2-mile-long Circuit de Monaco. The cars climb around 40 metres up through Beau Rivage, onto the casino, and then descending down towards the harbour through Sector 2. It's a very short run from pole position to the first of the 19 corners here, 7 to the left and 11 to the right. There's one single DRS zone as well, so don't expect that to make overtaking any easier today. Anthony Davidson is alongside me as usual for the race today. Why don't we discuss Red Bull? We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
It doesn't look promising for them so far. And if the new regs have hit them as hard as we think, well, I suspect they may need a few late nights at the factory to get back on track.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, edging out Antonio Giovinazzi, who'll start from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have the owner driver, Sainz, Lando Norris, and Ricciardo, De Vries, Verstappen, Ocon, and Charles Leclerc, Bottas, Stroll, Alexander Albon, and Kvyat. Gasly, they've taken a grid penalty. Matsushita, Nicholas Latifi, and Mick Schumacher, Aitken, Russell, Magnussen, and Luca Giotto. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Okay, this Grand Prix just got so much juicier for our team, and especially our teammate Lewis Hamilton, because as you saw there by the grid sequence, if you paid attention, Leclerc and Gasly have grid penalties, so unfortunate for Gasly to be a lot further down the order now, and Leclerc drops him off pole position. So our teammate, Lewis Hamilton, he is inherited pole. He didn't get pole, but he's on pole now for the Monaco Grand Prix. And we just said that at Monaco, obviously, it is very, very tough to overtake. And Hamilton now has a very good chance of converting this to, dare I say, a win, or at least I'm looking for a podium. But you would say if he's unable to get on the podium from here, then I don't really know how much hope we have for him, because we're hoping that we can get on the podium as well. Obviously, we don't know what the race pace is going to be like of our car, but over one lap, our car is there or thereabouts. So Hamilton was only a few, one or two tenths off Leclerc, off his pole time, but now he's inherited it. So very, very good chance today. So this just got very interesting for those of you who maybe wanted to see Hamilton reinvigorated. This may be our best chance yet to see that today. Let's find out, because let's just get into this then as we go to 5 red lights. Lewis Hamilton on pole position for the Monaco Grand Prix. The lights are out and we're underway, and there's a lot of wheel spin for Giovinazzi, but even more so for Austin in the second phase of the start. And Lando Norris has had a blinder of a launch, and he's managed to go around the outside of us. So I thought really I was going to get a move done for P2 there. In the end of it, some wheel spin just came out of nowhere in 3rd and 4th gear. Really undid me. We nearly put it into the barrier on the right hand side. So we're down to P4. We've been lucky to even keep it ahead of the Red Bull of Carlos Sainz, who's leading his teammate Ricciardo. But Hamilton then in the lead still at the hairpin. Giovinazzi second place. Lando Norris then in 3rd, like I said. But Lewis already controlling the race. Maybe Giovinazzi though right up his gearbox. So let's now see how this progresses. Can Hamilton soak up that pressure? Can he control the race from the front like you're meant to do at Monaco? And could he take this through all the way? There's a long way to go. 37 laps here as we're on lap number 2 on to 3. He set a fast lap of the Grand Prix. I steal that away, and we set a purple there as we try and close up to Lando Norris. We lost a bit of pace in lap 2 as the tyres were getting up to temperature and kind of finding my feet almost with the kind of heavier fuel with this car. But now we're right behind the McLaren, and in fact he's actually holding us up a little bit as Giovinazzi's also lost some pace. Look at where Hamilton is on the mini-map on the bottom left. He's really dropped Giovinazzi, and actually Gio is backing himself and Lando into me, and we're pushing the McLaren through the last corner. We open up DRS, lap number 7 this is going on to, so a fair few laps already into this Grand Prix being stuck in this train, but Lando Norris makes a big mistake there into turn 1, and as easy as you like, smooth as you like there, so fine, because we could have easily have hit Norris into turn 1 as he locked up, but very nicely done into the inside, and we're up into P3, and now we're right on the back of G, but these guys are really struggling with their tyres, and Hamilton is showing our car genuinely has some really good race pace as he pulls away in P1, so we've got a good chance to make this a 1-2 for Archer Racing around Monaco, and the Ferrari is going so slow, the rear end snaps, and Gio is really struggling with these tyres and the tyre wear now as we dive down the inside, trying to keep it side by side. It's so hard to do around a track like this, but we're still maintaining it as we're necking it. It's a drag race through the tunnel. We're going to cut to the inside, go for the dive, and he's going to leave us just enough room to work with, dancing the car around literally as the rear end steps, and he comes back at us. Neither of us can keep these tyres in check, and the tyre wear is really hurting us, and this fight's hurting us because we've backed ourselves into the Red Bull as well, and I've lost about 4 seconds now to Hamilton, I think that is, but we're finally through into P2 just before the swimming pool section. But I think everyone's tyres are really hurting. The tyre wear seems to be a lot higher than we expected, and the rear ones especially are really lighting up quite a fair bit. Lap number 10, 3.4 the gap is. We're not really closing too much, and my tyres are very much overdone and cooked, and so we're going to box in this lap to try and get an undercut onto the mediums. You can see how high the tyre wear was there as we glimpsed it on the heads-up display. 72% on the rear tyres, so something is very much up to date. As you can see, the rear end again stepping out. We're literally oversteering everywhere, tank slappers every apex, and so we dive in. Hamilton continues on, but I'm hoping that if everyone is facing this same tyre wear, that with this early pit stop we can get an undercut, and it maybe, dare I say, looks like it could be another situation like Spain, like Zandvoort. Maybe the 2 stops going to be fast around here. I don't know what it is with this season. It seems like the 2 stops have become a lot more powerful trouble for some reason. The reset with the R&D, I don't know what, but, you know, the two-stop worked for us at Zandvoort. The two-stop worked for Sainz blindingly at Spain. That was a bit of a shock to me, at least. I thought, you know, I didn't really think he was going to be able to pull that off at Catalonia, because we know how powerful the one-stop is around there. And so here today, maybe this is another chance to show that the two-stop really is a way to go, maybe, in this season for some reasons. We now pass the Alpine car very easily at Mashishita. He's starting on the medium tyres, and so he's going quite slowly, obviously, unfortunately for them, although it's very exciting to have that livery on that car. We haven't seen too much of that entire team so far because they've been so slow compared to the midfield, and we've just passed Hamilton into turn 1, lap 12. We're P8 on the road, but that would be P1 eventually once everyone makes their pit stops, and so we have jumped him, and the undercut has worked a treat. But interestingly enough, Hamilton is on the hard tyres as we now send one down the inside of Kvyat at Raskas, that infamous Raskas dive bomb, and Gasly now comes in off his soft tyres. He's way down the order with that grid penalty he had from, what was it, P5 on the grid. I think it was down to P15, so really struggling here in this Grand Prix to make up the positions. But yeah, Hamilton on the hards, I'm on medium, so Hamilton, I would say, is definitely maybe trying to go to the end of this race, whereas I've sort of half and half committed, because you can technically look to do a one-stop on mediums, but if the tyres are wearing out this much, we may want to do the two-stop as we now go for the move on the Racing Point car in the Aston Martin livery of ours now in this career mode series. Lance Stroll, 3 times race winner last season. So far, the team and him struggling for pace as they're kind of a little bit lacking in R&D compared to us, like they very much weren't last season, and we get the job done on the inside. Obviously, all these guys, Stroll, Albon, Bottas and Leclerc ahead of us, all of them start on a medium tyre, so they're going to have a lot more tyre at this stage of the Grand Prix now than I am, so we should be looking to close up quite quickly to overtake them. But we've got a virtual safety car now out as someone has retired out of the Grand Prix. I think it was Latifi, I think that was, on the top of the screen there, so virtual safety car, so no real advantage to be gained here. Don't think anyone's near a pit stop, so we're all just kind of waiting for it to go green again, looking at that delta time on the top right, trying to judge it as best we can, and then we get going again, and that's a little bit of time we can use to save some fuel maybe to use later on as we now move on, and we're at the very end of lap 16, practically again pushing another car through that final corner, looking very strong off that exit, and we go for another dive to the inside. It's deja vu for us on a Racing Point car as we overtake him on the inside. We're up into P4 now on the road. Bottas up the road ahead of us in P3, Leclerc, and then I think it's a McLaren of Esteban Ocon, we'll have to see, but 20 laps still to go then in this Grand Prix, which is kind of crazy to think about, so it's still a fair way, but we're doing really well at the moment. We're closing up to Valtteri, but he's going to come in. Leclerc will come in very awkwardly, and he got brake checked by the Finn there, but we're going to get up into first place now on the actual road as Ocon's also in, and so we are leading the Monaco Grand Prix, of course, by overtaking Hamilton with the undercut. We effectively already got the lead, but the interesting thing is now we're pushing hard, because I really do think the two-stop is the way to go for us, at least on the medium tyres. The tyre wear seems to be a bit higher than all of us are expecting, and at least for me, I'm seeing that we can actually come back and retake the lead if we do the two-stop. I'm actually more worried about us losing the lead if we don't do that. Meanwhile, behind us, Hamilton on the hards. He's maybe going to try and stretch this, but I think a load of people are feeling that maybe the two-stop's the way to go, at least the people on medium tyres. I think all those guys have gone on hards, and also all of those that started on mediums are going to try that one-stop. So i.e. Leclerc, who obviously remember qualified on mediums, and then all those guys that are outside the top 10, they're going to try and, you know, do some jumping, as is always the case with the one-stop v the two-stop. But on lap 25, this safety car comes out, so a few laps later, after we got the lead of this Grand Prix, and I'm not going to lie, I was thinking to make my pit stop around lap 25 to 27, because that would kind of, you know, be an equal split of the medium two medium tyres, if you kind of factor in when we pit for the first pit stop. So this is very lucky for us actually to come in. We're going to get a free pit stop effectively. I did hesitate though a little bit there. I thought, are we going to come in now or should we just stay out? But no, let's get the free pit stop. Let's come in. Russell's out the Grand Prix, so we are going to lose the lead, but with this free pit stop now effectively under the safety car, we'll actually lose even less time in positions than we would have done under normal green conditions. So this gives me even more confidence then that our strategy may work out here. Is giving me some Zandvoort vibes, very much so, in terms of the race pace we're showing on the fresher mediums, on the fresher tyre. So here we are, lap 26. we're P6 now, behind Verstappen, Ocon, Hamilton, Norris, I think that is as well. So we've got a few cars to overtake, but they're all on hards or mediums that are at least a good 8 laps old now, so we should have the pace to go out there and attack them. And at the hairpin on that same lap, in the same place, remember, where Giovinazzi had that massive rear end twitch, Verstappen has a little bit of a wobble, not as big as the Ferrari man, but he has another even bigger one then on the next corner. That allows me to send it in. Bit of contact made, but Verstappen kind of opening up the door in a way, clearly struggling with the rear end. Bit of more contact made as we go wheel to wheel through the tunnel, and we make the dive bomb again, and just like with the Ferrari car looking to go around the outside, this time though, Leclerc dives me on the inside, which I didn't even see at the time, but on the offboard cameras, we can see the Ferrari try to get his nose in. We're still going at it with Verstappen, and we make a great move just before the swing ball section on the Dutchman, and into Raskas, though he comes back at us, we go defensive. Verstappen's given us a real good fight, as that was a late move, and again, did see it coming. More contact made there, no love lost between us two former teammates from Season 3, of course, but we're going to hopefully now just solidify that and look kind of ahead of us rather than behind, and chase after the two McLarens of Norris and Ocon, who are keeping Hamilton very, very honest. But, oh! What's going on here? Norris and Ocon are in. Have they faced tyre wear? Is that them committing now to the 2-stop? Maybe a little bit late for them in the day, but they've done it. They've pit again, and so we're up into P2 now with only 8 laps to go. The McLaren seem to have converted to a 2-stop, and for us, we've got a bit of an issue, though. It's not plain sailing for us because we've picked up damage. We must have picked this up when we were battling Verstappen. Remember when we dived down the inside initially, we did make some contact on the front left, and I think maybe that's where we've made that contact enough to have damage. And now, on the next lap, there's a safety car because Ricciardo and Gasly have crashed together at turn 1. It's all kicked off here at Monaco. So that's our second safety car now in the span of, what's that, you know, like 8 laps or something like that. And now we've got a tricky situation here because we're in P2, we've got 7 laps to go, but we're all now going to bunch up again due to the safety car. So can I really stick it out with this damage? Because it's a yellow front wing, which it really is quite a lot of damage. It could get even worse as, you know, we go around the circuit and understeer. If that becomes orange, then we've got a massive, even worse issue. So I'm debating right now in my head in the cockpit, do we pit for softs maybe? And do we try and make a 3-stop work here? Obviously, it's not really an actual 3-stop because it's again, we've actually made 2 pit stops. This will be under 2 safety cars. But you can see I'm hesitating so much, and Hamilton's come in, and like I said, that debate was going on inside my head whether to come in or not. I did kind of commit basically through the apex of Raskas to be like, okay, we'll come in because we need to change this front wing with the safety car, us bunching up. We need to change the wing, but now Hamilton's in for tyre wear, really hitting everyone now. The McLaren's actually made a lightning call because they have surely gained some time now, having made that pit stop before the safety car maybe, because actually, to be fair, they actually may have lost out. That's maybe incorrect to say, but I now actually don't know who's going to gain the most, and I genuinely don't know what the race order's like, because now we're changing this wing. It's a very slow, painfully slow, really slow stop onto soft tyres. It's 11.1. We actually get jumped by 2 cars, and so in an instant, I thought we were looking good for a 1-2 maybe, with Hamilton winning this race. But in a flash, we're now got 7 laps left of this Grand Prix. I'm down in P12. And Hamilton, I think he's only a few more positions up the road in P9 or 8. And we've got it all to do. And now, cutting through to get the win on a fresher set of tyres is not going to fly now, because too many people are in between us and the win. But we needed to make that pit stop, because I really don't think we would have had enough pace to keep everyone behind with that broken wing, especially if Hamilton, he's come in. So even if I was holding up people, it wouldn't really been to any kind of, betterment in terms of getting him the win if I was the buffer in P2. So it's really all blown up in our face, and it's gonna blow up even more because that tiny bit of contact, that tiny love tap where Stroll brake checked me into the hairpin, I can't believe it. He's also got a penalty. So the FIA have given us both a penalty. Why not just cancel them out and not give us any penalty and say it was a racing incident? they've given us a 5-second penalty along with Stroll. So this race has gone from 100 to 0 for us real quick in the span of 5 laps here. Looking good for a 1-2. Now, we might not even get any points here because we're P12, we've gone green, 5 laps to go. Even though I catch back up into the points paying positions because we just come out of under a safety car, we're obviously all bunched up. So 5 seconds could be 5 positions. So let's see how this goes. We've got blue flags for Magnussen going around the outside. Easy does it here. It is still so chaotic in this race, especially now that we're all so close together. There's so many cars in close proximity to one another, but we're a P12 trying our best now in this Grand Prix. And you're absolutely joking me. Wow. Oh my days, what is this Grand Prix turned into? Absolute madness here at Monaco as we have a 3rd safety car in the span of, what's that, 11 laps? I think that's literally actually 3 safety cars within 11 laps. That is crazy. The last time we had 3 safety cars in a race, I can't even remember what Grand Prix. I think it was last season, was it not? But it was very rare to happen. But it looks like, I don't know if they tweaked anything with the coding or whatnot in the game in the latest patch they did or whatever. But the safety cars come out again. I don't even know what the safety car came out for this time. I'm assuming a car retired somewhere. But there's only 15 runners, so it has been a bit of a bloodbath here. So we've now only got 2 laps left, 38 and 39. So it is a sprint race now to the end. And this guarantees me not to get points. Because even if I get up into P8, 5 seconds is going to be down outside the point. So this is really, it's been a calamity of the last third of this Monaco Grand Prix. And I'm still kind of baffled at how this is unraveled from a 1-2 to maybe no points for me and Hamilton maybe only getting P8. It's a combination of the safety cars being very poorly timed for us with our 2-stop, and also at the same time, us breaking that wing did not help us one bit. If we didn't break our wing, we probably would be leading this Grand Prix, but now, and now with Hamilton pitting as well, who held us up even further, it's just, it's really gone downhill as we send one to the inside of the Racing Point car. The man who we've now got a 5-second penalty for, he's also got one. It won't matter. We're up into P11. We're just trying to see out this race as best we can and trying to make some last-minute lunges down the inside of De Vries. Very nice move, actually, in Raskas in neutral for a second there as a car comes in for a pit stop. Matthew Seater, that is, for a last-minute pit stop. With only 1 lap to go, though. Very surprising to see that. No real point in that, in my opinion. But we're up into P9 now, looking at Lando Norris, who's struggling on his softs, it would seem like, as Hamilton drops him up the road. So the tyre wear really has been a nuisance for everyone, no matter what point in the Grand Prix. And we're looking for one final move. It won't be for any points, remember, but it's just for dignity, just for saving face. Bit of contact made, but it's always going to happen at a circuit like this at Raskas. We've seen it in real life, a la Leclerc in 2019, remember. And so we've gone through up into P8 on the road, but it's going to be a P11 once our 5-second penalty comes in. And so that rounds off a topsy-turvy Monaco Grand Prix that I think Max Verstappen, of all people, has won somehow. I didn't see him all race pretty much, but he's won it.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance today. They should be proud. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot. A well-earned victory for Mercedes.
Yeah, absolutely mad. Verstappen's won, Leclerc in second, Bottas in third. Very surprising podium. You know, we saw Leclerc at least a bit in this Grand Prix. We saw he was ahead of Bottas, remember, when we overtook the Finn. But we didn't see Verstappen. At any point was he kind of in the realm of being in the lead. So I think he must have just snuck through on a one-stop. And indeed, the top 6 people all did one-stops, whereas the rest of us were facing a lot more tyre wear than those guys on a 2-stop. I think a lot of those guys on the one-stop did start on the medium. So very, you know, kind of, I guess in a way, kind of makes a little bit of sense. If the tyre wear was higher, those that start on the harder compounds benefited, but none of us in the top 10, you know, really thought that, because usually at Monaco it's not that high, but for some reason this season, like I said, with the R&D reset or whatever, the tyre wear was very, very high today. And then for us, operationally, I don't think we did very well as a team, either me or Hamilton. And unfortunately, Hamilton's streak of not doing too well from even a good qualifying position continues. For us, it's a day to forget, but at least it's saving grace that Gasly DNF'd out the Grand Prix as well. So Leclerc is the one that leads the championship now by 10 points, which is quite big, actually, if you consider the gaps between everyone else. But it's a race to kind of forget in a way, but at the same time, remember, because it was such a bonkers one with 3 safety cars, some massive DNFs, and just a lot of confusion, really, and frustration then with obviously that contact we made with Stroll, because we could have at least got 2-3 points or 4 points, you know, was for P8. So I mean, sometimes it just goes that way, obviously. So we're going to have to just kind of move on from that. But if you guys did enjoy that chaos, because it certainly was absolutely manic, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.